In Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, the Joker asks, "You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" Well, we haven't, but we've seen Joaquin Phoenix's haunting portrayal of the Joker, and that's as much of a dance with the devil as we can hope to get. As a character, however, the Joker has a history that extends way beyond the films, and he's impacted far more than just the lives of the actors who portrayed him. Join ScreenRant as we explore how the Joker is more than just your average movie villain. For modern film audiences, director Todd Phillips' Joker is an origin story that permanently changes everyone's perceptions of the character. Here, Joaquin Phoenix gives the performance of a lifetime as Arthur Fleck. He's the mentally disturbed clown for hire whose dreams of a comedy career get derailed as he loses his mind. Rather than falling through the cracks of society, however, Fleck's clownish persona becomes the de facto figurehead for Gotham's lawless streets. In the award-winning film, Fleck is treated like an unlikely protagonist, and the Joker is given a fully fleshed out and definitive backstory for the first time. Arguably in the past, the Joker's role in the Dark Knight story was always more effective when he remained a specter hanging over Batman, a criminal clown whose background was as unclear and unpredictable as his many plots. Heath Ledger's genre-defining performance as the Joker in 2008's The Dark Knight emphasized this fact. Screenwriters Christopher Nolan, Jonathan Nolan, and David S. Goyer wisely decided for the Joker to tell an entirely new story whenever he explained how he got those scars. And that idea comes straight from 80 years of comic book material. It's a testament to the work of the Batman series' many writers, artists, and collaborators whose decades worth of mythology resonates with each big screen performance. For Heath Ledger, the role was one that consumed the actor during filming, and it's one of the final performances he ever gave. For Jared Leto, his menacing take was a bit less out of control and a bit more circus meets Scarface.
Blah, 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 blah.
The actor let his preparation get the better of him, terrorizing fellow performers and sending gross personal objects in the mail. Like these two actors, Joaquin may have let the role get the better of him.
No, just like the constant whispering. Just shut the up, dude. I'm trying to find something real.
But he kept it personal, on an emotional level, internalizing the Joker situation to the point that we believe Arthur Fleck truly is a man on the brink of sanity and on the verge of becoming the Caped Crusader's greatest nemesis. Throughout Batman's run in DC Comics, the Jokers served as a diametric opposite to everything the Caped Crusader has fought for. We have to admit that it is hard to see Arthur Fleck being a long-term antagonist for Batman going forward. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker seemed like a much more tortured and at times sympathetic figure than we would have expected. Ultimately, Arthur Fleck was a symptom of a decaying Gotham City when you expect it to be the other way around. Before this movie, the Joker often seemed like more of an idea than a flesh and blood human. Over the years, some fan theories have even proposed that the Joker was turned into a metahuman when, as many Joker origin stories go, he fell into a vat of chemicals. The mixture made him into a kind of immortal, which might explain how he can regularly avoid meeting his end. Others have argued that, like Deadpool, he seems to be aware that he's inside of a comic book, and he can break the fourth wall as an example of this ability. And other theories even say that the Joker is some kind of godlike agent of chaos who exists merely to torture humanity. Basically the DC version of Loki. While these theories are fun to consider, we prefer the idea that he's of human origin and that it's his psyche, world of view, and mysterious personal experiences that allow him to make it out okay, just so he can live to taunt Batman another day. With all this in mind, it makes sense that The Joker is the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. The Joker has always been an incredibly popular fixture in DC Comics. In 1941, Batman #1 introduced readers to the clown prince of crime, the Joker. While many comic book characters grow and evolve over time, even Batman's costume went through some drastic changes, the Joker seemed to spring up from comic book pages fully formed. His greased green hair, his stark white skin, his purple suit, and his wide toothy grin were all part of the character's look from the get-go. According to Batman's creator, writer Bob Kane, the Joker's overall vibe was directly inspired by a German actor, Conrad Veidt, who played a clownish man named Gwynplaine in 1928's The Man Who Laughs. Original artist Jerry Robinson referenced Gwynplaine, who looks like a real-life creepshow, when he first inked the character. In The Man Who Laughs, Gwynplaine is more of a sympathetic character, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Gwynplaine was the son of a king's political enemy, and as punishment, the king ordered Gwynplaine to appear as if he were always laughing. This idea seems to have been carried over, intentionally or unintentionally, into Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Here, Arthur Fleck suffers from a disease where he can't control his wild fits of laughter. In that first Batman issue, co-creators Bob Kane and Bill Finger intended for the Joker to make a one-time appearance and included a moment where it seemed that the character had offed himself on accident. But the writers had a shrewd editor in Whitney Ellsworth. He convinced Kane and Finger to add a panel at the end showing that the Joker survived to taunt Batman another day. Ellsworth knew on instinct that the Joker represents everything that Batman is not. Bruce Wayne and his alter ego come from affluence and wealth. He represents a physical ideal and privilege that most people find unattainable. Yes, there's more to Batman than just his money, but he has a singular drive to succeed in the face of insurmountable odds. He has an immense amount of compassion towards those less fortunate than him. But while Batman's style of vigilantism is bringing about law and order through any means necessary, the Joker is his polar opposite. Bob Kane and Bill Finger may not have been able to fully articulate it in their first issue, but the Joker is a chaotic figure, and his brand of anarchy gives comic book fans the type of philosophical debate that keeps things interesting. Then came the 50s, the silver age of comic books. Much of pop culture was regularly censored, and the Comics Code Authority passed judgment on what could and could not be shown in comic book panels. The Joker's manic, unpredictable energy, his antics, were heavily toned down during this time, and it was in this period that the Joker was given something of a backstory. During his early pre-Joker years, it was revealed that the Joker went by the moniker of the Red Hood. When the Red Hood got into a confrontation with Batman, he fell into a vat of chemicals and ultimately became the laughing lunatic that we've all come to know. In the Bronze Age of comic books, during the 1960s and 70s, the Joker had a resurgence in popularity. The writing inking team of Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams, who we're going to call the Neils from now on, provided a grittier and darker take on the character. The Joker was eventually committed to Arkham Asylum, setting a trend of institutionalization that would continue through future stories. In the 80s, comics started to cater toward adult tastes more regularly, and several standalone stories redefined the character. Alan Moore of Watchmen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and V for Vendetta fame wrote the iconic one-off, The Killing Joke, in 1988. In it, the Joker attacks Barbara Gordon in an effort to provoke the noble Commissioner Gordon. More importantly, he faces off against Batman, and we learn more about the clown's backstory than ever before in the process. Here it's revealed that the Joker was once a hapless factory worker who dreamed of a stand-up career. After being let go by the chemical plant, the wannabe comedian agreed to help some criminals break into the factory. In order to keep his identity secret, he donned a red hood. The break-in did not go as planned. Security stopped the intruders from completing their mission, and Batman confronted the man in the red hood. In an attempt to flee, the man jumped over a railing and landed in a vat of chemicals. After escaping the plant, the man spotted his reflection, complete with bleached skin and green hair. The physical change as well as the massive emotional toll of all these events led to the development of a new personality, the Joker. This dark take on the character helped reshape DC Comics' approach to storytelling. It came out just 2 years after Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, which tells of an aging Bruce Wayne who's driven to don the cape and cowl once more. Batman's unretirement reignites the Joker's lust for chaos, and the two men face off again. Even Mark Hamill's twisted vocal performance was partially inspired by these graphic stories in the seminal 90s cartoon Batman the Animated Series. As terrifying and unhinged as Hamill's loopy portrayal is, you might be surprised to learn that he wasn't the original choice for the role. Initially, the production team had hired Tim Curry to voice Mr. J. Curry famously played another haunting clown, Pennywise, in the TV adaptation of Stephen King's It, and while Curry's portrayal was considered pretty terrifying, he was let go after recording several episodes. Hiring Luke Skywalker himself to portray the cackling, husky-voiced criminal proved to be the animated Batman's diamond in the rough. In the series and its subsequent movies, this iteration of the Joker was true to the spirit of the darkest Moore and Miller stories. While the violence was toned down, his manic energy and insane philosophy gave us a Joker that previous live-action versions, like Nicholson's scene-stealing but traditional gangster portrayal and Cesar Romero's hilarious and mug-friendly clown from the Adam West era, could only scratch the surface of. In a lot of ways, Joaquin Phoenix's turn as Arthur Fleck has humanized much about the seemingly inhuman and inhumane villain, but the character is still more of an icon than just a big bad on screen. He's an idea, an embodiment of a different kind of adversary for a different kind of superhero. Since the World War II era, Batman has regularly redefined what it means to be a hero, and like any good hero, he has an unforgettable villain who transcends the stories he's in. Oscars or not, he is the bad guy to beat. With the Joker breaking as many box office records as it breaks audience members' hearts, this movie has the staying power to become a true comic book classic. Just as the character of the Joker is more than just a movie villain, the Joker's standalone film is more than just a comic book movie. It's a commentary on the state of our society. But what do you think of their take on the character? And where do you think the DCEU will take us next? Let us know in the comments section below, and keep following ScreenRant for more videos like this one. See you around.